I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state.
Like you're seeing in these documents in the Jack Smith case. They're just redacting stuff that they lied about.
What does this signal in terms of Donald Trump's intent for the FBI?
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator.
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? For his participation in Benghazi, where he killed 4 Americans, he'll be out of prison before the next presidential election's done.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And he put him in his sock drawer. It's called the Clinton sock drawer case. No bullshit. They went to federal court, the government, and the federal court adjudicated that no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. I was in the National Security Division at the time. I was doing the discovery for Benghazi, where we found her freaking email.
This is Kash Patel, just got picked to be the next FBI director. What he says in this interview with Sean Ryan is going to blow your mind. And I'd watched this before, but now I'm starting to connect some dots.
Excuse me. The one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom.
People in government, like places like the FBI and senior leadership positions in DOJ, making prosecutorial decisions based on a political election. You know, my first big instance of that was Benghazi. I was the main justice lead prosecutor for Benghazi for a while.
No kidding.
And I remember this meeting with then AG Holder, and we had a deck of like 19 guys we wanted to prosecute. You know, JSOC had them rolled up, and we wanted to get them all. They killed 4 Americans. You know, it's a legit attack. And the basic general response from the FBI and DOJ leadership was, well, it's only politically convenient to get one guy. And they went and got basically the wrong guy. And then we prosecuted that wrong guy. Not that he wasn't a part of it. He just wasn't like the top tier of guys I would have gone after. And they screwed up the prosecution because they didn't listen to us and they didn't want to use the right evidence. And it was all political decisions. It was.
How many decisions has the FBI made because they were political decisions? We've yet to see the Kennedy files. We've yet to see the list of the little island paradise. We have yet to see any information about the Las Vegas guy, Dylan Ruth in Butler, Pennsylvania, the guy down at Mar-a-Lago. We have not seen any of those things. Those are all politically motivated decisions to keep hidden. And Kash Patel, this guy doesn't sound like he gives a shit. He does not care. Political decisions have ramifications. The American people only found out about Hillary Clinton's secret server because of this guy right here. And I am 100% backing Kash Patel to be the next FBI director. I've met him. We've talked. Wow. Buckle up.
What do you mean they didn't want to use the right evidence?
They wanted to, you know, because half of that stuff was classified and they wanted to. I didn't piece this together then because we didn't have the whole fallout from Benghazi, the hearings, and the congressional review. That would take time to come in. But they wouldn't let us prosecute, I think, 16 of the 19 that I wanted. They didn't want half this evidence declassified. And I was like,
who is they?
Well, the leadership at DOJ, FBI, and the intel community obviously played a role in that. And so,
because they're all looking for their next promotion. You don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to, rile anything up. You don't want to move the napkins around on the table. Everything's just got to remain the exact same way. Many people will say that's why the former president just got reelected, is because he doesn't care. He wants to mix some things up, break up the norm. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., you're starting to see other people outside of the norm come in and mix some things up. You thought Pete Hegseth or the Matt Gaetz appointment was going to scare people? This guy scares people.
Oh, we were just like, all right, we'll do the best we can. And for example, Katala, Greenbrier River, the guy that first got prosecuted, he is getting out for his participation in Benghazi, where he killed 4 Americans, he'll be out of prison before the next presidential election's done.
According to Kash Patel, he is out right now. You heard what he did to 4 Americans. He is out. Probably sent back to wherever he's from so he can regroup. We probably made some trades. The Biden administration's made some trades. I'm waiting for him to come out and pardon his son.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why would we? Why?
I mean, I don't mean to laugh at it because it's so atrocious because they charge him with the wrong crimes. Nobody at the FBI or DOJ wanted to listen to how to turn intel into evidence, into a public display in a court of law. You know, everybody working on the case thought they were the best at everything. And the decision from the top down is we're only doing this guy. And if you get the prosecution wrong, which
What the fuck are we doing, man?
I don't know, bro.
What are we doing?
Sean Ryan, great question. What the F are we doing? Sean Ryan, Navy SEAL, many other military members are asking the exact same thing. What are we doing? We saw the withdrawal from Afghanistan. We've since given them $48 billion since we withdrew from Afghanistan. Okay? What are we doing? Our government's priorities are so misconstrued. If you're a veteran and you have bled, you have sweated, you have missed Christmases, Thanksgiving, birthdays, maybe the birth of your child, because you chose to support this country, you are asking that exact question. What the F are we doing? Sean Ryan, great interview. Thank you for allowing me to use this video.
Why are we even in? What the fuck are we doing?
It was my first kind of foray into it in terms of the 2-tier system of justice. And it wasn't happening outside, right? My first experience with that was public defender land. Now it's internal. Now it's the administrative application at the executive branch level in Washington, D.C. And, you know, then you have Russiagate, and then you have all these other things we'll talk about. But the best, I guess, definition of the 2-tier system of justice I can come up with for your audience is the classified documents case.
Oh, here we go.
Which one?
Here we go. Which one? Which one?
So let's use the 2 presidents, right? President Trump gets his home raided on a bogus WhatsApp warrant.
They literally came in the middle of the night with weapons to Mar-a-Lago and went through Melania's underwear drawer. Okay? They had Secret Service on site, and yet Merrick Garland allowed this to happen. Joe Biden knew what was happening. And I hope Trump seeks revenge, vindictive revenge. They put his child at risk. Barron, they put his child at risk.
Which the FBI leaks to the media. Do you know whose name is in the FBI's WhatsApp warrant for President Trump that was 65% redacted? Trump's name and my name. Then they redacted everything else after my name, which once it finally came out, it was completely meaningless BS. Then they go in there and they stage that photo display, and everybody's like, oh my God, look at all this classified materials. What they don't explain to the American public is he's a president, former president, Presidential Records Act. Bill Clinton did the same thing. Every president performs on the same thing. They can take what they want. That's the law. So you can't be prosecuted for possessing classified documents.
Well, can I add, and I don't know what was in the documents, but I mean, if you take, and I can't remember who I had this discussion with, it may have been Tim Parlatore, but
Yeah.
if you take, I mean, when people say classified documents, taking classified documents wherever, to Mar-a-Lago or Joe Biden's garage or wherever it was, I mean, a lot of those documents, people, they make it sound like it's the nuclear codes or but what it actually is, or at least what it sounds like to me, or what I've been told, is a lot of it is just the daily schedule.
Yeah.
Hey, today, you're giving a press conference here, you're doing this here, or you've got lunch with so-and-so, you got a couple of meetings, and then that day's over and that is no longer classified because it's already happened. But
The media blows everything out of proportion. Everything. When it's convenient.
obviously you can't get the president's schedule out before it happens because, am I correct in saying that some of these documents that they're saying are classified are that type of...
You're correct, but my point is, under the law, it doesn't matter if he had the nuclear codes.
Okay.
The Presidential Records Act, and Bill Clinton took literally recordings of a classified conversation and took them when he left the presidency, and he put them in his sock drawer. It's called the Clinton sock drawer case. No bullshit. They went to federal court, the government, and the federal court adjudicated that President Clinton, as a president, has the Presidential Records Act. He can take what he wants. The court never...
Nobody mentioned that whenever they were trying to prosecute Trump, did they? Jack Smith? Never mentioned that. How many of you knew about that? The sock drawer case. Now, I don't want to know what else is in Bill Clinton's sock drawer. Hopefully we find out. I guess he was like the number one visitor to Fantasy Island.
Never even found out what was on the recording. It's that strong. And that's the law. So then why does this DOJ come in and say, well, it doesn't kind of apply to Trump? And then you interview Joe Biden, and he was never president. He had 4 different locations of 20 years of classified information.
Wow.
Delaware, his offices in Washington, D.C., and 2 other locations, his beach house and somewhere else. But their excuse to not prosecute Joe Biden was, well, basically he's too inept. He's too feeble-minded.
He is.
So we're not going to prosecute it. That's not, I've never heard that.
That's not a reason not to prosecute him. But he is inept. We've all witnessed that. This is disgusting.
That's legitimately why they didn't prosecute
That's what
him?
the special counsel appointed the investigation told Attorney General Garland. And Garland came out and literally said, well, we don't think Joe Biden meant to do it.
He was too dumb.
And I was like, what?
He's too
I was
dumb.
like, we're back to the Clinton case, the Clinton server case, right? It's like when Comey created this new legal fiction. No reasonable prosecutor, first of all, it's not the FBI's job to ever make a prosecutorial decision, but no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. I was in the National Security Division at the time. I was doing the discovery for Benghazi where we found her freaking email. And then they took that investigation away from us. And then it became the Clinton investigation, right? That everybody now knows about.
How many of you knew that? He was doing the investigation for Benghazi when he found Hillary's emails. Think about that. The Democrat Party, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, it goes all the way to Obama, hate this guy. When they hate him this much, I like him.
I was like, who is this guy talking about? And then I didn't think it would happen, but it did. It came back full circle with the Biden administration, or the Biden prosecution of classified docs, and they let the guy off the hook. And they just said, doesn't matter. So we'll prosecute a guy who has a legal justification to have those documents because we don't care. It's Trump. And we won't prosecute the sitting president because you've made up a new legal standard that applies to exonerate him and to not even charge him.
Double standards. Donald Trump has revealed a couple of things across the United States and specifically in the federal government. Double standards. The term trumped up charges, you could say that has him as an origin. I know that's been a phrase for years, but he gives better meaning to it right now. Trumped up charges.
That is the 2-tier system of justice on steroids. And now you're talking about the 2 guys who are running against, now they're not, but 2 guys who were then running against each other for the presidency of the United States.
Where else is this happening?
Man.
Here we go.
Everywhere.
Here we go.
Unfortunately. So we saw it every day on people who were indigent and charged with serious offenses who were treated differently than folks who were, high-level private sector individuals. I mean, if you go to the fraud cases out of Wall Street or whatever, these guys get to go to Club Fed for, a couple years, 10 years, whatever. But the poor guy down at the end of the ladder, he's going away for 40.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to be a legal expert to have seen this over the years. And the classified documents case, that's just, you can apply what they did there out to what they're doing to certain Jan 6 defendants. And I always say this about Jan 6. Some people committed some pretty violent stuff. They need to go away. But when you're bringing in the 65-year-old grandmother who doesn't have any priors and she's held without bond for years to force pleas so that you can weaponize and politicize the two-tier system of justice even further, so that Christopher Wray, the FBI director, can go to Congress and lie and say domestic terrorism prosecutions are on the rise because they classified everything.
He just called his predecessor a liar. He just called Christopher Wray, the current FBI director, a liar. And many people will agree with him. I do as well. This is your next FBI director. How happy are you about this?
Jan 6 is domestic terrorism. And so that he can say, him and Merrick Garland can say, oh, we've got 1,000 people under investigation for this insurrection. Well, this insurrection that nobody was ever charged for. But it's a political narrative, and it's tough to defeat. It sounds pretty lethal, you know, storming of this, hijacking of that, insurrection. But when you look at some of the people involved, their lives have been destroyed by the Justice Department because of a political vendetta they want to enact through the justice system to take out Trump.
How long has this been going on?
Decades. But it started slowly. I think Eisenhower was the first to say it in the 50s, and he started it with the defense industrial complex. He basically said, paraphrasing, if you don't control this animal, it is going to take over Washington, D.C., and is going to take over the purposes of the government's departments and agencies.
What a great interview by Sean Ryan with Kash Patel. And Sean just asked all the questions at the right time that we want to know. I love this interview because this reveals the real Kash Patel, his real intentions, and what he knows that the American people need to know. Kash Patel is going to go in and be a wrecking ball within the FBI. And I can't wait to see it. The FBI works for us. Political figures in Washington, D.C. work for us. We don't work for them. We pay their salaries. Kash Patel, salute to you. I hope and pray you get confirmed. And the senators and congressmen that oppose him, I want you to ask yourself one question. What are they hiding? If you like this video, check out this video where The Economist magazine says that American veterans receive too many benefits.
Amen. Hallelujah. And boom shakalaka.